Hello everyone, it's Fwdays React plus JS conference. We are on track B, and the next talk is from Nikita Galkin. I bet many of you already know Nikita. Anyway, Nikita is system architect, not recipes author. He's regular speaker here at Fwdays conference, and as he said once, he knows how to solve problem at the right level. And seems like today's talk will be about this. Let's see. As usual, during the talk, please post your questions to Discord or the public Telegram JS Fwdays channel. After the talk, we will have a short Q&A session. And it's time for presentation. Please welcome Nikita Galkin.
Today we will speak regarding React application failures. Alexei already introduced me, so I will skip this slide, but I will promote my Telegram channel. If you didn't subscribe on my Not recipes, please do this. I have interesting content, mostly it focused on Not, because I'm actually work more with backend architecture, but as you know, React and Node.js use JavaScript or better TypeScript, and I'm on regular basis share some updates what can be helpful for you. Today we will talk regarding failures and actually lessons what you can receive from these failures. Actually, the type of this talk you can use on fuck up nights. It's one of regular meetups would focus it on share not success, not best practices by failures, and explain what lesson you can understand from this mistake. So let's start from the first failure. GraphQL obsessions. In one project, we had very interesting team would make decision that they want to have GraphQL with any price. Typically, on project, when you have GraphQL, you have ability to use GraphQL client, and on backend side, you have GraphQL schema. This part is actually schema. You have GraphQL resolvers, and these resolvers map business endpoint and provide required data. Yes, GraphQL can speed up front-end development if you have GraphQL on backend. And the team from this story made decisions that they want to GraphQL, but resolvers will live at front-end. And it actually means that every resolver will make request to REST endpoint. We will have resolvers in our working thread. You know that, and browser you can have forker and what will be in other thread, and it looks like good solution for first, but as a result of that, maintainability of this solution was so hard, and every time that new feature or bug was arrived, it required a lot of times. Let's try to understand why it's happened. First, we know that some of information what we want to demonstrate is actually a result of aggregation. And you need to make a request to backend, and calculation of all data, what typically in database, will be based on database results. But in approach, when you're not able to do that inside your resolvers to make requests to database, you will make requests to REST endpoints. And as a result of that, any of aggregation will require received all data from backend. During development, it's actually not a problem because you have small amount of data on your local environment and it looks like all work good. But performance on real application with hundreds or thousands or millions of records, of course, will be bad. And it was failure. Actually, after several months of development this solution, team lead was burned out and he left the project. And business make decision that application should be rewritten from scratch without GraphQL. Was this fault because of GraphQL? I don't think so. The problem was that resolvers was on front-end side. What lesson we can learn from this story? First, don't shift responsibility from backend to frontend. For backend responsible for creating required data for you. Representation of this data, building all this stuff, of course, can be on different layers. You can do it on backend if you live in happy team, or maybe you will need to do this on front end, but it's not a problem because it's just more code. We know that GraphQL is good solution for backend for front end, but what this team lead forgot that main word in backend for front end is backend. So please don't create front end for front end. It's not a good idea. And actually, what I didn't cover inside demonstration this slide is when you have performance issue, typically you need to have cache. Having cache inside browser, it's very hard. You need to implement your own solution. And actually, browser has his own cache. We cache all REST responses. What you should remember with GraphQL that GraphQL should use their own cache. Apollo actually has this, but you need to think again when you will invalidate this cache, all this stuff. But if you will cache your responses inside REST, then you can validate just by fetching data by this REST endpoint. So maybe you don't need GraphQL if you have a lot of data that can be easily cached. Next failure is glitching search. Typical functionality for search is low-hanging fruit. In this story, we had such technical stack. Of course, React. For state management, Redux toolkit was used for rendering UI, React Bootstrap, simple REST as protocol, and my favorite Nest.js on backend. As data layer, Postgres was used. So, what happened? In one sprint, team developed new feature, search. But during one quarter, the team received on regular basis bug reports and complaints from real users about irrelevant search. Search was glitching. It was not clear why. It was idea to write backend and use inside Postgres for searching, use Elasticsearch. But any research demonstrates that actually results of search are correct. Even some simple search analytics was added for understand why search is glitching. The problem was very simple. Actually, bug was not on backend side. Bugs was on front end. And it was not single bug. It was actually two bugs. The first bug was related to pagination. Let's imagine that user right now on the second page and he want to find some results via search. Because front-end developer forgot to reset inside Redux what page we have after adding search query. Request to backend was with page 2, and of course result didn't have enough data for the second page. And users say, I don't know why I don't have any results, because in UI for him it was not clear that he searching on the second page. No, if you want to hide something, hide this on the second page of Google search. It was the same case. Okay, and actually more complicated issue was not even reproducible during local development, because response was so fast and data was so small that it was not able to reproduce it. But actually, during investigation backend logs, a team found that you can receive from one user with very small delay several search requests. You see on the screen that it was like Smirnov several times with different letters. And actually, it's okay that backend will return some of search requests faster, because actually response will be smaller and downloading time will be actually faster for frontend. But because of a state management setup, frontend application demonstrate not the latest request, it's demonstrated latest response. And the solution for fixing pagination was pretty easy. It's of course you just need to refresh state and after changes any filter, after changes any search query parameter, you need to start from the first page. But regarding debouncing, what does this actually mean? Because there are, I think, some junior developers and it's not clear. Debounce Storm would the most often used with such technical stack as RxJS. And it means that we want to not use all parameters what we have. We want to use only parameter with some delay and its latest one. You see right now on the screen. It's doesn't mean that for solving such case you need to add RxJS. It means that with React application based on some Lodash or even just set timeout, you can easily implement the bouncing. And searching is the right example when you should add this. Okay, what learned lesson do we have? Again, failures, mistakes is okay. And it was actually the first time when senior React developer implemented such. And of course, he makes some mistakes. What is bad that there was not any tools for understand that. But backend logs help, and for after this result, actually business received search analytics and found that it's very cool because they better understand user behavior What is right things to improve regarding results? Maybe we need to make search more less constrained regarding what you type in query, all this stuff. Actually, if you don't have regarding your search analytics, even Google Analytics for understand what is searching, my recommendation, add this. Business will like this report. Okay, I'm switching to next story. I'm sorry, it was some noise. Does it mean something? Okay, I will continue. So, regarding conversation rate, we will talk regarding project was successful. It was actually e-commerce, and business made decision create new version with better UI, and of course, technical lead said that instead of PHP-based technical stack, we need modern technical stacks with single-page application, with Node.js on backend. But as a result, conversation rate was dropped. It's not cool, said business, and development team started to research why it happened. And the first guess, of course, was check what is loading time. And because on this specific project, main traffic was from social networks and from search engines, loading time was significant reason of dropping rate. So the first version was implemented just for single page application. It didn't have any right solution for speed uploading time. No CDN, only zip was used. Even HTTP2 was not added. As you know, HTTP2 will speed up your uploading time. After research, development team made decisions that they need to rewrite this with using Next.js. It was only React plus REST endpoints, server-side rendering. After several months and complaints from business that they are losing money, it was Next.js static generation, and that project was closed. But was it team failure or it was business failure? People didn't know that. And what we can learn from this lesson, that from the start, even from your development environment or integration environment, use CDN and HTTP2. Why? Because loading time matters. Similar like a test, you want to receive your response faster and don't wait too long as users for this e-commerce project. And if you know that you working with such area as e-commerce or any similar, when loading time matters and you actually don't care regarding a lot or loading information, all this stuff, maybe SPA is not your top solution. Maybe Jamstack, where you will have your React, because Jamstack means JavaScript, APIs, and markups, and it can be better solution. Actually, here, if team choose Gatsby JS, I believe they will not have such problems. Actually, with Gatsby JS on similar stack, you can have dynamic features too. Not you don't need to full SPA for having this and just generate content if business make changes inside content management system is enough. Okay, and the last but not the least, we don't know was drop conversion rate, reason of changing UI or loading time, or it was just moment when business lost the market. And because of that, I am saying that A/B testing is what we need to use. Not only from business perspectives, but also from engineering perspective to understand are they doing right or wrong. A/B testing use such approach as kernel releases when we release only for small part of audience and then increase it. It's a good practice, would not aligned for everybody, but we have on the market right now tools that can help you to distribute your bundle with A/B features. Okay, next story. My favorite one, Highload from the start. In this story, I would like to start with description business. Business has inflated expectation. Business was so ambitious that they said that in 1 year we want to see 5 million users. Maybe it's not a big deal if you have enough money. And for this story, it was this case. Business has enough money for make Tinder for gamers. It was a greenfield project, and business hired the best team what they can hire at Ukraine. And what happened? I will start from backend. They made the most hyped decision. First, GraphQL. Everybody love GraphQL. It should speed up development. Microservices, because we know that we will have a lot of users and we don't want to have bottlenecks. And we know that it will be expensive infrastructure. Let's just calculate for a second. If we will say that we need to validate of all these 5 million users to validate that it's actually real users, not bots, we want to validate mobile phone, it will cost at least 50,000. Of course, I make it wrong. We will pay at least 1 cent for validation mobile phone. And it's big money to achieve these goals. And because of that, from the start, backend team ask business to make its solution in the right way, and business said, of course, let's do that. Does it make sense? No. Because actually we need start from monolith first. We need to understand how we will split our domain in microservices. And premature optimization, even for cost, it's always every time bad. But beyond front-end conference, let's check what happened on front-end. Business made decisions that they want to have custom design. And who like to create components from scratch? It's better to use existing component library like Bootstrap for React or AMP designed or Material UI, any of that. But custom design was approved, and front-end lead unfortunately didn't make any words about that. My expectation that when you need to make custom design, you should be a successful company, like Apple, for example, or Uber. In this case, you can create your own component libraries and have a dedicated team for that. But if you need to implement new features, then custom design, custom component library will be definitely wrong. Second problem what front-end team faced was no CI/CD. You can say why, and it will be obvious if you will remember state of backend. Backend team allocated all DevOps resources. So DevOps was focused on setup microservice architecture and continuous integration pipeline every time was not top priority every sprint. As a result of that, development team had hard integration because most of functionality will be developed later. We didn't finish this microservice yet. We have issue with integration on backend and frontend mock everything. When instead of mocking results, we need to use real backend. It was found that even with GraphQL, with data schema first, we need to make some tweaks, make changes, and it's all the time not clear where you need to do that. Almost all milestone was failed, and actually, when business received in several months the first version, almost everyone will change. And actually, business model, instead of Tinder for gamers, let's create social network for gamers with some new cool features. Anyway, money was burned and release actually didn't happen. So, what we can learn from this lesson? First, if you don't work at a big company like Apple or Facebook, don't create your own design system with components. For example, Alibaba can create and designs and make this open source. If you working at startup, then don't waste time, don't waste business money. Use design system. It will speed up development. You should have stable developer environment. In this story, GraphQL was right solution, but you don't need GraphQL if you cannot use GraphQL from your local environment and point this not on local, but on developer environment. Very often developer environment was broken, and actually if team will have attitude to work with developer environment the same way as production, it will be very good because we will don't break ability to work for other developers. So think about that. And all those things, actually, because small iteration, we use agile principles. Maybe it's, you can say this is actually bullshit, but small iteration is small risk. Faster feedback and ability to learn from product or technical perspective. And please remember that first version will be thrown out anyway, but reason can be different. In this story, the first version was the last version, and it will be thrown out because release didn't happen. But in other university, we can imagine that instead of making this wrong decision, developer team make right decision. Business learn something, and they make decision to change business model, to change product, and it's okay. And because of that, typically in successful stories, we create a new version and of course throw out the first one. I'm going to next story is related to education platform, and you know that COVID time make remote and remote education or online education more popular. What requirements the team had in this story? Typical things what we need to education as lesson scheduling, ability to assign homework for students, receiving payments, of course video calls inside the platform, and real-time requirements to make pair programming, sorry, not programming, pair work between student and teacher. The idea is very cool. You working in parallel with teacher and the same platform when you making your exercise. But unfortunately, because of technical stack, what is for first impression looks like right. Of course, we need rest because for scheduling, for make homework, rest will be enough. Oh, GraphQL, anyway, any solution will work. But with real time, you need some transport for receiving information from backend. And WebSockets looks like a right solution. And it was several implementation from development team. REST plus WebSockets for real time. Then they realized that WebSockets doesn't have a subscribe, and if you just lost your WebSocket, it will be not reconnected. Resubscribe. Then it removing REST and all pair programming with WebSockets. And all the time, teachers and students say that it's glitching, and inside Google Doc, working on exercise is better. And business every time say that teachers working in Google Docs fix this. I was consultant on this project, and after I received request to make right architectural solution, I say that, hey guys, what do you think regarding Firebase real-time database? Of course, development teams say that now we don't need to write everything from scratch, but it was not existing feature, and it was like not priority, but this real-time database implementation, cooperation in real time is so simple, and we proved that Firebase real-time database with chat feature is simple to use and right to do. Business wasted a lot of money on this implementation with Firebase real-time database. It was much simpler to implement what business requested for make pair programming. But unfortunately, COVID ends and business understands that they don't have new round of investment to scale this business, and project was closed. This Firebase real-time database, of course, it can be more successful, but let's be honest. In some situation, right or wrong technical solution doesn't matter. Because if you will check every of teacher on platform prefer to receive students and work with them directly and receive not half of students' money, but all of them. And it's typical situation when you have not marketplace but just platform, and it's not clear from business perspective how to solve it. So maybe part of problems why Google Docs won is because features are not in place. They are contractors, and for some cases, contractors prefer to receive direct connection with the customers. And the second learned lesson is that if you need to test technology, don't test this on main pain problem. It's better to test on some small feature received proven for development team that this is right technical solution. And only after that resolve main problem. Okay, it's question time. You can check slides on the channel. They are already published, and I'm ready to switch to conversation with Alexei.
Hello again. Thank you for great presentation. It's always great to kind of learn on others' failures, but not on our own. Basically, we have time probably for one or two questions, and we'll switch to Discord. The first question is for my question. Are there any kind of rules that help us to choose the proper solution? So basically, you have talked about the different failures, but the common thing is kind of the solution wasn't selected properly. Are there any rules, or in general, are there any at all rules, or could we somehow figure out them?
First, you all the time need to understand what at your roadmap next half year. In this case, if you know big features, answer is this right technical solution or not is aligned with business plan. And you said regarding rules from technical perspective, you know, as I all this time say that software is easy, technology is easy, people are hard. And when you have unpredictable business and you cannot understand what solution, business solution do you need to implement, you cannot choose right technical stack. So if we will try to find some rules, it will not be silver bullet that you can use one technology or for one case. All the time you will have some pros and cons for solution. So my short answer on your question is it depends. But what advice I will have for you is talk business, watch in our roadmap.
Yeah, totally does make sense. Let's switch to Discord and discuss more topics and actually answer more questions here. And now we will have everyone will have 10 minutes break, and let's meet at 4:10 p.m. at Vladimir Agafonkin's talk. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Nikita.
Thank you for your attention. Bye.